Okay. The creases in my hands are etched with withering sanity. My furrowed brow is carved with lines of distress. My expression echoes amidst shadows, shadows that haunt me, that inhibit my prose, obsession and ritual. My flows are stained with blood, in which lines of words become patterns of possibilities, blossoming into fruition. Nietzsche always said, the path to one's heaven comes through one's own hell, but what happens when the two are no longer distinct? This is a representation and performance of the masochistic relationship I possess with illness. My obsessive compulsive disorder makes debate and torturous activity that's constant in contestation and pain and near insanity. My affirmation of debate, my presence with activity is a form of masochism, a chosen subjection to pain. It is a shadow that haunts my words and shakes my mind from distress. Hours of pacing, looking over details, perfecting prose that has already been described 1,000 times. Thus, in the face of my obsessive compulsive disorder, as an adolescent, I am making the autonomous medical choice to engage in debate as a form of masochistic therapy for my OCD. This creates a constant agonizing relationship to debate that at the same time opens avenues of learning and comfort I otherwise would not have experienced. This makes my affirmation debate, my affirmation in this debate is taking of a signing of a masochistic contract between myself and my obsessive compulsive disorder, a contract not only for myself, but an affirmation of the possibility of similar masochistic relationships for other individuals. Masochistic relationships are bound by the word of the masochist to their torturer. A symbolic bond establishes a particular relationship. This strategy allows persons like myself to engage in therapeutic strategies in which they are able to push the boundaries between normative understandings of things like medical choices, illness, and pain while maintaining a safe and consensual space. Thus, I affirm the terms of the contract herein described. Adolescents ought to have the right to make autonomous medical choices. Masochistic affirmation of illness and that of my OCD brings freedom through its amplification of life sensations, produces a masochistic constraint that allows meditation of the body, and release from societal norms and open space of creativity. This relationship to illness allows multiplicities of desire and escape from norm structured organization. Booster 14. Illness brings a certain type of freedom because it allows us to listen to life. It facilitates thought sensation. Illness implies life sensation by eliminating the expression, sensation, and affects and produce. Illness offers freedom to restrain, offer the opportunity to benefit the body from limitation. Illness is an affirmative process, even if primary side effect of fatigue produces freedom. One is free to just be illness or release one from societal norms through reorganization. Immobility allows us to lose travel to emotionally immobile systems like music. Its limit signifies a physical remote. It is state of vigilance and attention. Illness and emphasize creativity and freedom. Themes familiar with masochism. Body constraints for the unspoken link between the body. Masochism teaches describes in terms of spending time and pain, providing time for freedom and submission. To lose is gratefully the exclusion from the norms of able body. This is exclusion allows a time of social freedom. We can link these statements about illness to lose discussion of masochism, but practice self-education to lose. Masochism is a way of producing a body which is desirable without being restricted by establishment patterns, organizations, and allow for multiplicity of desires. And this masochistic contrast allows the intersubjective approach of power that flows between the masochist and the torturer, creating a reciprocal relationship. This creates the masochist's unique and paradoxical relationship with autonomy. The masochists express their autonomy through their submission to the torturer, while at the same time the torturer acts through the masochistic terms. And adolescents' autonomous choice is expressed through the non-autonomy in V14. The contours of concrete element, the establishing interplay of power, and this intersubjectivity, taking a crucial function ensuring that being and seeing are separated, all ultimately not being disappear. The masochist appears to help real change, but bound by his order by means of contract, the rules of each partner negotiating, the masochist may argue advance according to his own terms of advance. Thus, the masochist acts as the director of their own play. They control of the quarter, but effectively disavow by the enactment of their submission of goals. This is built with the argument that masochist subjectivity is not equated to powerlessness, passivity, but instead of position and entails pleasure through shown submission and mastery, which must be taken into account considering masochist subjectivity and intersubjectivity. It emphasizes the importance of recognition that flows between pair. The masochist contract mechanism that shows a vital action reverse logic recognition of masochist scenario. Thus, German's primary signify the disavowed agents between both masochistic and balance of the powers and such relations. The contract fulcrum around masochism, pleasure, desire, necessary to serve for work and manifest, and define the other crucial elements of masochistic aesthetic. And sadism is based in the abomination of contracts and the cooperation, accumulation of victims of sheer number that embraces subjectivity to replace with mathematical repetition. Masochism and contrast affirm pain for consensual lines. The immense subjectivity created by its opening is based on possibility. This creates a non-hierarchical education that is productive for both the torturer and the victim, and is a therapeutic strategy. In contrast, the sadistic nature of non-education, which is based on constructive cooperation, eradicates education based on imposition. Masochism avoids sadistic abominations via the masochistic contract. Blue 67. Sexual language repeated in relation to the speaker of the audience. Descriptions of the body should be the looking diagram illustrating the abominable domination or descriptions. We have therefore distinguished two factors in the dual language. First, the descriptive factor that represents the personal element. It directs and describes personal violence and status. Second, higher factor represents the impersonal element and status, and identifies the impersonal violence, the idea of pure reason, with the terrifying fact demonstrating capable subordinating the personal element. We discover a mechanism approach imbued with the mathematical spirit. Endless repetitions, reiterated quantitative process of adding victim upon victim again. In certain cases, the personal element is almost entirely absent. The purely impersonal element is version much more evidence. We are dealing here with the grounds for stating operating great extent mathematical patterns of work massive. It's reflecting education. We're no longer in the presence of the torture sitting upon a victim. We are dealing with the victim essentially torture and these educators relating to include the lines of torture. This is why masochist starts with conflict with the abominates and destroys them. The sadist thinks in terms of institutionalized possession, while the masochist in terms of contractual alliance. Thus, the role of the ballot in this debate is to vote for who best performatively, methodologically creates possibility within the space of illness. To create possibility within the space of illness, to open illness to non-normative understandings of body and pain, is open potential responses, strategies to treat these illnesses, and relative possibilities and benefits that come with these new strategies. And masochist relationships are movement from the material body to the realm of the ideal, the discursive. The movement proceeds through collapsing distinctions, pain and pleasure, negation and affirmation are no longer distinct. The discursive opening creates basis of productivity and opens with the debate, and allows discourse to be a building ground of creativity instead of the limit. These have moved out lacking to destroy difference, close off possibility to lose 67. The undertaking masochist here is the tortoise undergoer, instead of their climb towards the ideal, except for the human body, the work parts, and the work parts of the ideal must take place in the shadow of the wit. Masochist, anybody, the dialectical spirit. Masochist is preceded by the dialectical imagination. Evidence ultimately the second, the realm of the intelligible. Also, the whole technique, dialectical reverse masochist does not know whether this corresponds to man or woman. We're not sure whether one or two people least prepared for anything. The true dialectician knows the opportune moment and sees that the masochist hero appears to be educated and fashioned by the authoritarian, whereas it is basically he who forms the proper harsh words. The victim who speaks with the masochist is the mouth of the torture. Dialect can not simply mean free interchange of discourse, but transpositions resulting in a seeming and acting simultaneously in several levels, the reversal of the allocation of roles in discourse, and masochist performance is to create a specific relationship to myself and those our audience who I perform as. They form a tacit contract between the artist and the audience through experiences and impulses beyond rational thought. This highlights our everyday experience with masochistic contract that are staples of modern life and emphasize the power found where they are when scrutinizing acts of alienation of the relationship with the human and both the subject and the object. This impulse of experience creates an inmate contract of recognition between myself and the judge and codifies how performance and discourse relationships are bound. Odell 97. Performance are the center around the individual acts embodying the violence living very different backgrounds, all share common set occurrences that can now be regarded as typical masochist performances. These include the alienation of art in everyday life, the psychological influence of domestic sight on art in everyday life, and being both a human and subject and an object, especially the relationship between the artist and the audience. So willing to endure pain has to do with the dynamic between the artist and the audience. Each involved agreed to tacit terms of the contract with the artist. The crucial implication comes with the everyday contract between the related to one another. The may or may not be in a resting interest. The contract is a central metaphor of modern life. Masochist performance sought to call attention to the structure of the contract and emphasize the power lies there. The reliance on masochism issued from the impulse of beyond rational thought and intention. Masochist performances were always conscious of the process, even if those agreements did not register them as contractual. 1 second, I need a drink. Okay.
Ready?
Yep.
What does it mean to grant adolescents autonomous medical choices?
What do you mean? Like in the context of
Like, what is your
I defend that adolescents ought to have the possibility of engaging in masochistic medical choices.
Okay, what is a masochistic medical choice?
Yeah, it is a choice to enjoy and subject oneself to pain.
Okay, give me an example.
The 1AC.
No, give me an alternative example. For example, in the medical system, something one specifically.
Yeah, psychology. You are supposed to talk to a psychologist and relive past terrible experiences. That is extremely painful, but as a contract you have formed with a psychologist that allows
Okay, is this allowed in the status quo?
Not in the way that I think the affirmative does it.
Okay, what is the distinction between how it is carried out in the status quo and now?
Yeah, so I think the status quo does not recognize the masochistic relation of that, right? If you wanted to... Okay.
What is a right?
Ooh. I don't think the 1AC necessarily speaks to
Okay, I would like you to
rights.
speak to that. That's part of your advocacy.
Okay, so I think the concept of a right is something that one should be able to do. I think that the Blue 67 evidence would probably contextualize a right as something in the discursive realm.
Who grants adolescents the right?
I would say that adolescents grant themselves the right to the contract.
Okay, how does the government prevent them from granting themselves the right now?
I don't think I talk about the government.
Okay, how does anyone prevent them? Do you fiat this action, or do you just defend it as an ideal?
I think that there was both a performance of the affirmative and an enactment of it as something that should happen.
Okay, what will you go for in the 1AR?
Yeah.
Okay, which part of the app? Will you go for the performance part is coming first, or the advocacy that we would give adolescents?
I don't think these two are mutually distinguishable.
Okay, but they could be severed, and you could go for one in the 1AR. I'm asking for, can you specify that you'll go for both of them in the 1AR?
Yes.
Okay, cool. How do we weigh impacts on the role of ballot?
I think it's a question of who has the best methodology to
Okay,
deal
what qualifies as a better methodology?
whichever one is most productive in the sense
What does it mean to be productive?
Just let me finish questions.
Okay.
So, the Duluth 67 evidence and the Odell evidence indicates that a productive methodology is one that collapses distinctions and allows us to understand each other through reciprocal relationships.
Okay, what does it mean to understand each other?
Yeah, so have mutual recognition of each other as consensual beings.
Okay, how do we understand if another individual is a consensual being?
Through a contract, through that recognition that exists in the contract.
Okay, what qualifies as a contract?
It is a worded bond between two people to engage in masochism.
Okay, can you give me an example of a situation in which two people would carry out that bond and go through that contract in the medical system?
Psychology, you just did this.
Okay, that's fine. Let's go through that. Mooser 14 says masochistic affirmation of illnesses brings freedom.
Yep.
Point me to something in the card that says specifically it is the only way in which individuals can be free.
I don't think it's just the only way that individuals can be free. There's obviously other ways you can be free. You can start flying, and that's probably
Okay,
freedom. It's just
that's
a question of how.
That's fine. Can you define masochism?
Yeah, the chosen subjection to pain via contractual relationship.
Okay. Okay, 118. The order will be 3 off case. Do you want me to flash?
Yeah.
Can I do flashback?
Oh, wait, hold on. I put some coloring on there.
Okay.
It's a new off, right? Or 3 off?
Mm-hmm.
Second, sorry. Does anyone have another USB? This one is not. Somebody doesn't work. Wait a second, I guess work. Sorry. Jerry. This one's crashing.
Okay.
Yeah, they just leave. Did you say 3 off case?
Yes. Okay.
What's it called?
NC quarters. Let me know when you have it open.
Okay.
No, you're good.
Yep.
Alright, when everyone's ready. Okay. A interpretation mirror maps defines medical effort relating to the treatment of these injuries effort relating to medicine. The free dictionary continues up relating to treatment of patients, direct etc. towards and Berger way to find a medical decision. Medical science seeks to develop tools that can guide physicians, their patient, and healthcare policymakers to make good decisions. In practice, permanently published in the Cambridge University Press, the medical journal means it was petitioned to remain specific medical procedures be conducted. Uses other words to the topic. See published the second time on the website that's dedicated to examining medical decisions. So they probably have a better understand what concerns they know more about it. The core question of the resolution is an issue of relevant distinction between adolescents, adults, post-stanic, and Henry 12 law, ethical norms for adolescents and adults premise on differences consensus about nature of differences, unified ethics of adolescents, and medical decision making. To clarify, you need A, to refer to a choice made by a patient undergoing treatment carried out by Dr. B, and a choice that is The umbrella of things carried out in the science of medicine institute choice of trees, Caesar industry and defend and advocacy their moves, and the total barrier that currently exists between medical decision-making for adults and adolescents who also have to defend a policy action resolved into the affirmative method and the implementation of policy by the government departure. The word resolution makes the course of action determined by legislator of the public to craft a resolution which can be answered resolved comes from adoption of resolution by legislative bodies to clarify diseases and treatments only count as those defined by the medical community. It is not a treatment very much defines masochism and sexual perversion characterized by pleasure and being subject to pain or humiliation by a love object is considered a CSM category. Paraphilic disorder masochism is diagnosed sexual masochism disorder can be treated with an integrative approach to means it can be treated with AG malaria and non-spaghetti malaria won't be a medical choice even if you legalize it that violates it isn't right now. And you do not create a new right which doesn't prove a legally relevant decision means that is good since masochism is good, not a question of whether adults see the same set of rights as adolescents see. This limits massively expense your ground. You will just defend any kind of tradition in your ground. We higher quality specifically to legalize anything else up to engagement and ability to prefer your position in character not apply close friends and to report prevention access, better argument self-education is equal, research ability to seek my potential to engage insurance case, benefit is good to talk about it. We don't access to benefits, so I cannot substantively engage your position also, means you cannot weigh the advocacy since we don't know if it's true since I can engage inclusion. You will understand the topic as something that is given for your own, which means that there's greater ability for the greatest number of people to come in that always all of your arguments since that means that we have a greater number of perspectives. Next is predictability. We have all agreed pretty much what the topic is, which means that we have the greatest ability to prepare. That means that we have highest quality arguments key through fairness, since otherwise one debater has an advantage. Also, next is threat to you will shift your advocacy in the next mission. You'll be really vague if you're held. The next is the resolution. You cannot be shifty kills. Fairness is second. Form of clear intention needed. So to vote on fairness equal ability to have to engage a position debate is competed and back to wins and lost if the right is geared toward one debater. You can no longer debate equal to. Vote on education and the goals, favor provides board schools also. My schools fund to be the first place there's restriction to voters and say the app is not topical as out of. Your jurisdiction didn't vote on any, you should default like assembly with the advocacy being contractual obligations. May not pass the resolution not what you give your own what we could be reason the resolution about a reason that we should petition that change not that we do not debate it. So your offense is time unique. This also implies value to before the reason jurisdiction was voter right way. On second point jurisdiction case, the point is that it's not in fact justified. It is written on the roll about that you have better debater also that you have the resolution we run based on that way is on probability since it is since it relies on external standards. What is the ultimate function of debate? Whereas we know that we prefer the resolution not on T1 drop the arguments reference to the position one is you can just read your arguments player connect parts of that to the whole rest which one to get clean up reading the plan on your excuse. My strategy which is decided now we will go for 2. The argument encourages discourages the next meeting to check back precepts and they will with the portion can't see the two arguing team making and more strategic so they have get away with not collapse to kill fairness education so they will get away with strategy positions. This is positive form 3. I spend time waiting to check back and use dropping the arguments portion of my NC's ways moot which kills fairness education 2. A is the counterpoint tax adolescents are taking the risk by healthcare professionals as a result of anorexia or will undergo treatment even to be chance, which the adolescent does not consent. And C, age 4 clarifies healthcare professionals should ensure adolescents with anorexia should be included with parental responsibility to over the young person refusal healthcare professionals should consider seeking a second opinion from an eating disorder specialist. B, mutually consistent with the FP adolescents make out their own choices, but I did not. In the case of anorexia specifically, since the situation which they are subjecting their bodies to harm, which means that mutually consistent with anorexia and desire for treatment for impetus and autonomous choice reinforces by political norms, by desire for femininity reinforces association with femininity disorders. Represent exaggeration of the norms of femininity, extreme self-discipline, in an effort to conform anorexia is emerged in the context of a movement which is idealized, then its power operates through self-discipline, surveillance, production of desire from the anorexic, conditions that are constraining cannot be experienced as liberating anorexia, creates a sense of empowerment because it represents self-mastery, because it allows the anorexic entry into a privileged male world by losing feminine comfort body anorexia, creates the illusion of resistance to anorexia and forces our relations impotent and planetary powers ideal of self-information. Also, always your arguments on specificity. We talk about individuals in an entire social context, whether or not the decision can actually be characterized as autonomous knowledge. Skipped in our next card, third off. The use of biotechnology as medicine is a mechanism about political control over non-bodies and capacity powers that desires and biological processes become central to politics target of disciplinary power. Biotechnologies intervene to recognize processes. Disciplinary power operates to realign forces discipline into capacity when it seeks to increase cut. The rest of the card outweighs your case biopower. Also outweighs your case individuals. When it is framed as a medical decision, that means that it's framed as something that's being independent from society, but society influences individuals when insofar as they're making a medical decision, which is not problematic frame this way. This outweighs your case discipline is recognized biopower from construct social links and trend that certain individuals are held to accept to advantage of the app represents it as a problem of individuals who are oppressed rather than the alternative that enables the oppression to by the KB scope by justifies all forms of violence and violence against the group to address the violence of individuals within society that encompass large number of power structures and political one C is time for math and only self-evidence and oppression reentrenches power structures long-term C reversibility. We can do the app later, but the power structures are normalized. The harder it is for them to overcome. The alternative is to reject the app rhetoric of it being an autonomous medical decision. That is not better since it doesn't frame it as something that's independent rather than something that is achieved by society, which means that we have better comprehension of the issue. Case. First, start on the roll of the ballot. First, Don't look for the debater who is best methodologically or performatively advancing position. Rather, you should look to a best posted policy option A. So what is that? Ways that we're able to have concrete comparison of specifications. If we just say things that are fresh, that we don't have access to long-term grounds, which means that we have less critical education. That's case since it makes us question our assumptions and our ideologies. So what is that? It means that we can never come to any sort of productive conclusion since we just rehash issues that we think are inherently bad, which means that we don't have new conclusions. That even if it is important to talk about an issue that impacts your crown, which is necessarily worse, since you will get really corrupt on those arguments. Go to the lose. You say that they are movement from the material body through realm of the ideal and discursive, but even if it is important to talk about, you can still talk about it when the topical context topical version of the topical version of the after of your offense. You could defend the case of a certain specific procedure, but the fact that you don't defend whole solution or implementation is problematic. Odell, you say it creates a specific relationship with you and the audience, but that is not an independent reason why you have to vote for the position, even if it is important propaganda. It's really terrible for engagement. Debate is a space in which we should both be able to substantively engage each other's position, which means that it's not problematic. Go to the top of the AC. You say, first, off of Mooser, you say that it brings a certain amount of freedom, but it only brings a certain amount of freedom for the perception of the individual. That's not a reason why they're independently free from societal problems. It's also not problematic if individuals are not able to see the ways in which society influences them. They perceive themselves as free. That means that they are lying to themselves. Also, P14, you say that it allows intersubjective approaches to power, but even if it is potential, that could be done at some point, at the point at which biopolitical forces influence the ways in which individuals make decisions. That is not possible now, which is the reason that we should do the app later. Go to McPhee. You say that it is. Go to Lose. You say that it's an abomination. You say that cooperation can be important, but there are always situations in which there are the power imbalance, which means that the choice is not truly autonomous, and individuals are coerced, which means that they do not have freedom. Go to Duluth 67. You say that they are the movement from the material body in the realm of the ideal, but you do not move away from the reality and be able to deconstruct material conditions. If you only look to the mind of the individual, that divorces them from social context, which means that you're abstract.
Name these off.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
What is the alternative in the last case?
To reject the rhetoric of autonomy.
Why?
Because it is a form of biopolitical control. Framing it as an autonomous choice makes it something that's independent from societal influences, which is problematic since it's not. It prevents us from interrogating society.
What is autonomy?
What is autonomy?
Yep.
So the definition of autonomy is generally the ability to make choices.
Generally, I want to know in specific context.
Okay, I will pull up.
I don't need to pull up. You can't tell me the definition.
Okay,
of
no,
autonomy.
I'm telling you the definition of autonomy. The definition of autonomy is ability to make choices free from the influence of others.
Okay.
It's basically like acting in a vacuum.
How does one do that?
You can't. That's why it's true.
Okay. So, on the counterplan, why is it mutually exclusive? Like, what is the big point you make about why it's mutually exclusive?
Oh, so that you would give the adolescents the ability to make a medical choice in a circumstance in which would harm themselves. Anorexia is one of those instances. I don't grant that.
Okay. On T, you talk about jurisdiction. What is jurisdiction? What do you mean by jurisdiction?
I mean that they have to vote off of a topical advocacy. If your app's not T, they can't vote on it.
Why?
Why?
Yep.
There's a lot of reasons for that. So first, all of the standards evidence is reasons that it's really problematic for my ability to engage you. Then there's other jurisdiction arguments.
Okay, hold on. Jurisdiction argument seems constrained what like the judge is able to vote on, not what might be a risk of unfairness or uneducation.
Sure. So there are independent jurisdiction arguments. Those are the ones that are in the voter section.
Okay, what are those?
Okay. So jurisdiction is a voter, since if the app's not T, it's out of their jurisdiction to vote on. Jurisdiction is necessarily
That's completely
important.
unjustified.
Okay. No.
Like, that is just a lippy tagline you just read.
We agreed that if we want to answer questions, you can let me finish. I had a weighing argument at the end that says that we have to have some sort of conception of what the judge has an obligation to vote on, which co-opts your role of ballot arguments. Otherwise, there's just floating impacts.
Okay, so doesn't this predicate on the claim that the app doesn't make a claim of what the judge can vote on?
I make an alternative weighing claim as to why the jurisdiction of the judge is to vote on a topical advocacy or to vote against non-topical advocacies.
Okay, so your DSM evidence is specific to sexual masochism, not Deleuzian masochism.
Okay.
You want to resolve that distinction for me?
Sure. So that's the way in which masochism is generally diagnosed. In some situations, fine, you're defending all masochism. There's still certain kinds of masochism that are not constrained by the
I defend Deleuzian masochism, like the relationship of contracts. Like masochism in general, like the DSM definition of masochism is not something that would define it as a contract. It's a sexual perversion. So how does this relate to the affirmative?
How does this relate to the affirmative? I mean, you didn't read a definition in the app, so it's probably unfair for you to go for new ones than when they are. But two, any situation in which individuals are subject to pain is not inherently a medical choice.
Okay, so but isn't this your... Okay, that's fine. That's fine. That's regret. Okay, so free file left.
Are you reading anything new?
I'm going to flash it. I don't know how to get to it. I'll read this.
Okay.
Okay, the following question is called Eternal Return 1 Hour Paradox. If I read anything off these pages, as I doubt I will flash it. That'd be interesting, flashing paper. I will hand it to you.
Okay.
Order is the affirmative, D, the counterplan, the K, and then potentially a new off. It's going to start with an overview on the app, which you can just float the top. Just going to get some impacts up. Everybody ready? The first affirmation of the possibility of masochistic medical choices for adolescents, the two community impacts versus the delusion evidence indicates that there is a kind of sadistic impact and likely change by the reproach of pain. This is unique and journal like this. You cannot answer, which means the sadism imposes a bond called dominant education. This means that I can change to look at the question of education this way. The second impact is a reformative aspect that links to me. This means the Mooser evidence indicates that this is a reformative aspect for survival strategies for individuals with disabilities in debate. This is completely conceded in the 1NC. You should not give her new creams on this. You should shield the 1AR and blow up your responses because that's what she's going to do. This means that I have a unique and journal link to the question of how this affects individuals in space. This precedes anything she's going to get because I'm going to get you with the rule of battle. Her on the line by line. She's just one that only it only brings perceptions of freedom. One, there's no reason it's bad. We are changed that instills something within the mind which is important. That's what our evidence indicates. Two, we are material, less to lose it in case it changes the discursive realm, which means that it's just not actually right on this question. Then on the Mooser evidence, you can say Mooser, the illness allows freedom constraints and is a display bodiness. I explained that I'm spending that on the overview. Then she said politics form things not possible. I'll answer this in case. So it says on to lose the cooperation means that there's a power and balance. McPhee resolve this issue. It indicates the contract is the kind of resolving these balances because it allows the individuals who have a contemplative stasis. She does not answer that very well. The McPhee evidence indicates the reciprocal relationships cause freedom and paradoxical autonomy. This means I control the income length of fairness vote of the she reads on T because the idea of fairness can only come from a contractual relationship. Then on the on the roll of ballot. Are you extended? Yeah, you already extended the lose on the overview. Then on the roll ballot. She says both on policy option A, we have to access critical education. B, we can never reach a productive conclusion. A, there's no reason currently less. Delusion controls that question. Delusion indicates that the idea that we can have critical education only happen from a starting point of collapsing dialectical imagination. Then B, she says that on the B point, there's no reason this is true. Give the one here leeway on 1NC blood. She says we can never reach a productive conclusion, but my argument is that maybe we should not reach conclusions. Maybe instead we should allow discursive possibility. Then she says you can start from top left. See, one of those version of the act is given, and there's no T in the sense because the masculine performance cannot exist in her topical definition of the affirmative. Then two, the second argument is the same for the above. Then she said that non-independent voting issue debate is a space where we should engage, but this is not answer the normative claim that Odell makes, which is going to lose with the round. Thinking that your role as a judge is said that normatively when we create masculine performances, creating bonds and undercovers the masculine relationships and the contracts that make up our world, which means that I control the intellect of the question of your role as a judge, which precedes anything else because it frames the paradigmatic view, which you're going to view the rest of the debate. So the Blue 67 also controls the internal link to the question of how we understand dialectical understandings from the space of the debate, which means control the internal link on the questions of pre-fiat advocacies, then on the T. First on the inter. She reads the viewpoint that I need. She said that we need to understand things that we can. I need to defend things, study medicine, the affirmative study of medicine. Even her evidence talks about the idea of medicine. Then on the idea of evidence, this makes actually no sense. The idea that it's a disease and not actually speak to the question of the contractual obligation that I affirm of a losing form of masochism. This will clarify the one I see. Then let's go to jurisdiction. Well, it's not just why this is true. And two, we have a clear conception. The one I see is states was clear on that the idea is that the judge can vote on a particular idea. That's the McPhee evidence. Also, you should give me a leeway on the question whether or not the role of the judge and the role of the ballot come on the same level as theory. And they precede the idea of jurisdiction because the idea of jurisdiction is already been framed by the one I see is completely conceived. It means any risk of offense to the question of her jurisdiction argument is going to be reasonable for error after this issue. Then she said that the contractual obligations mean the resolution. One, that's not true. And reasonability, I use the direction of the topic, which means that you should refer my question on this. Also, to the contractual obligation that I clarify in the 1 and C or something that are more particular, which means you should give me a leeway in that question too on the next off kind of win. Stated in that links to the delusive evidence, the position of someone also links to your medic, or the same position of someone, the kind of statistic impulse that delusive 67 indicates the idea that you should impose something on someone else is a kind of statistic evidence that's not good. We shouldn't use masochism. They cross about the impacts. Then the contradictions are a voting issue. It kills background, it kills education. The medicality links into this. The idea that we should understand medicality, the counterplanet is going to kill the kill solvency. It's a voting issue because it kills background, kills education, is bad for debate, sets bad norms. Then on the anorexia. Permutation do both. There's no reason we cannot allow adolescents who have many instances of non-masochistic something that they cannot already do. That means I don't defend masochism, but I don't defend the idea that they cannot do non-masochistic things, which means she needs to be able to prove why they're masochistic to be able to not do this. Then, third, on the next off. Well, I do not defend medicine. Her link establishes a horribly contextualized. And two, re-understanding medical within the affirmative does something that is productive, which means that, her link is really bad. It talks about medicine. I don't defend the normal conception of medicine. Two, the re-understanding of medical with the act does, as per like the evidence, is something that is productive. Then, on... Yeah, so McPhee is not normal in the question of autonomy. It's a paradox of autonomy. Submission breeds non-autonomy and autonomy at the same time. Then, permutation do both. The benefit of the same DA, the idea of non-medicality, we reform, not destroy. That's the statement of impact I read. That her idea that we should destroy the laws when the statement indicates is bad. There's no reason we cannot reject a rendering of autonomy through the 1AC, especially the attachment to the McPhee evidence. You should shield me in the 2AR because of all the blippy arguments she's going to make.
What does it mean to grant you leeway on arguments?
Yeah, I think the judge should err af, and they should probably use some intuition on the question of whether or not your blippy arguments have answers, or have like warrants. Why your new one in our
okay, that's fine. That's fine. The order will be an overview. You can flow it on T. It'll be overview, the second off case.
So overview T and then what?
Or actually, it'll be overview, T, third off case.
Third up. I should flow the overview somewhere.
Yeah, you can flow it on T.
Are we keeping the second one?
Sorry? Yeah. Alright, ready? Overview. He makes a huge mistake in the one AR. He concedes the fairness as a voter. He concedes by contextualization of fairness, which means that his implications is high. I don't speak to specific contempt or problematic. He only reads an I each one of the interpretations, and he has conceded reasons that I do not get to substantially gauge the app, and also conceded reason that he does not get to weigh the app against the T shall still be really, really easy to pull the trigger there, even if that is not the case. He concedes reasons that biopower outweighs, which means that if I am winning a marginal link to the K, then that is sufficient to take out the app. T. Extend the interpretation that he needs to A supplement defendant refer to choice made by a patient undergoing treatment carried out by a doctor. B defendant choice that is under the umbrella of things carried sent in the sex defendant and C to send defendant choice that treats disease or treat defendant advocacy that removes some sort of barriers that currently exist in medical decision making finals and clarify that diseases and treatments only define and clarifies those by the medical community and the D supplement that he supplement that A defendant policy option. This problem with this is that it's not a conditional one. He has to meet every single one of these points. If he doesn't, that is sufficient for you to vote him down. You consider that he does not defend a policy option. He also doesn't prove a morally relevant distinction. It means that it's a reason that the app is good and fast. It's not a question of whether both seems to right about analysis, which means that his means do not matter. Extend limits and vastly expands his ground because he will demand any kind of choice, which means his ground will be higher quality specifically since he will utilize literally anything which kills substantive education. I have ability to prepare for your position direction, apply this that weighs your position. They support us that weighs on magnitude, even if it's important to talk about your impacts. We don't have the best type of education we could have. You could have read a topical version of the app, for example. You could have read a performance visit that the judge does not have the jurisdiction to follow, which means that we would have been able to guarantee your position. You also could have invented some sort of implementation of a post-fiat policy option, which means that we can still kind of the kind of engagement he is talking about there. I'm the only one with a net benefit. The B point is that it would have is that always on scope. We have a better ability to have the kinds of discussion that he's talking about in a larger number of rounds, even if it is not even if it is not better to have in this round. You've considered that theory is an issue of norms creation. Go but extend that you drop the debate. Extend that you drop the debater because the 2 point that you will drop the debater because otherwise he will read a new plan in the 1 AR, which means that he shifts out of position, which means that it leads to a positive norm. If you think it is a positive norm, that he defends some sort of topical advocacy, that is a proactive reason to vote for me. The C point is that it always on longevity since it impacts the debate community for the entirety of it would always impact the debate community, even if it is an important issue to talk about in this specific round. That is a reason that we should not that we should talk about it badly in every single situation, which means that there are better norms. I'm the only one who's doing weighing comparison 2 and our weighing out was 2 or weighing A point is that weighs on probability since I have more time to develop and think about argument or action. B point is that weighs it also always on probability since he would have he will go for 2 AR extrapolation. I do not have to answer his arguments, which means that he is not held to a higher standard. The C point is that always it's the only thing links to jurisdiction. Things have to be attributed to the better debater. If I don't have the ability to debate them, they are irrelevant. For example, you cannot go for a new plan on the 1 AR. So also extend that it means that you cannot weigh the limits argument that you cannot weigh the app against T since we do not know if it's true since I cannot engage it. This is game over. Literally every argument he extends in the 1 AR is contingent on the fact that he's winning the app. But he has conceded that the fact that he is losing T means that he doesn't get access to the app. None of his impacts matter. I function on a higher level. I made arguments in the NC as to why this is the case. Do not allow new 2 AR responses. This is very explicit. You can call for T. So extend that you vote on fairness, equal ability to, in a round to engage position debate is a competitive activity with influence of the round is viewed towards the better debater. You can only test debates extend that jurisdiction is the voter since the app is not topical inside of your jurisdiction vote on you to default next time. The only one thing advocacy extend the B supplement that contractual obligations between apples to defend the resolution is what we were given pre-round and we have agreed to debate which reasons the reasons about our reasons we should petition to have it be changed, but also means that all of his impacts are non-unique. Even if it is important to talk about the app advocacy, that is not a reason that you have to specifically vote off in this round. You also see that I weigh on strength of link to jurisdiction because it is A supplement that it's not impact justified, e.g. he appeals to some sort of external standard of oppression, but this doesn't beg the question why the judge has an obligation to vote on the B supplement is that always on probability since it written on the ballot. I'm the only one who's doing weighing analysis and comparison between the different ballots. Do not give him new 2 AR credence. These arguments were in the NC. But also, framing issue on theory. Theory is a reason to drop the debater, but it's also an impact turn under his role about as to why his methodology is problematic. Even if you feel bad, even if you think that it's problematic for you to vote on theory, that is still not a reason that you shouldn't vote on the arguments, and those are disadvantages to his methodology. That means that the way in which he is engaging me is not problematic since he gives no ability to answer his positions. He's conceded reasons that critical education matters. Go to the app. Extend off of Adele. Extend the 3 point that critical education is important. We have to think about concrete options that enables us to compare things. Critical education outweighs everything. A point is that always on probability since we're able to deconstruct ways in which we are oppressive in certain situations in which we're not questioning ourselves. That means we have to hold up concrete positions. The B point is that always on scope substances, ways it impacts ways in which we think about all forms of oppression, even if your form is oppression important, to talk about them. We won't be able to deconstruct other ones if we just take our assumptions for granted. Actually, he goes for a performative contradiction argument on the second case, so go there. You say that it is a contradiction because I say that medicalization is bad, but no, I only say that it is bad for us to have autonomy, and it's only bad for us to have autonomy in the context of medicalization because that would be it's problematic since it's misframing the issue and prevents us from recognizing biopolitical control. Also, he has conceded a reason that topicality would outweigh anything else, which means that these theoretical arguments are not a proactive reason to put me down. The third off. Extend that the use of biotechnologies in medicine is a mechanism of political control. Extend that this leads to biopolitics since we frame autonomy as something that is completely independent from such extent. The A point that is always on request because biopower constructs social limits and trans that individuals are held to. Extend the B point that always on scope because one, it justifies all forms of violence. Two, that addresses violence of individuals within society. He has a couple of answers. He says that it's not medical. He doesn't defend medical choices, but if he defends any kind of choice in general, then that means that there's some sort of portion in society. He frames autonomy as being independent of individuals. He says the A something does for being protective and it breeds autonomy, not autonomy. But the advocacy text says that autonomous choice is something that your advocacy is inconsistent. That's also a reason that you should vote him down on the performative contradiction argument. Also, a reason that I should sever that fine. The alternative is just to pick. It would say that we would go to instances in which we should go to instances in which there is. We should look to instances in which there is not, in which he does not frame it as an autonomous issue. So that means that there's always a net benefit since rejecting it is able to solve. Since we are able to frame it as problematic, he is the way in half. So go to the top. He is extending a lot of arguments through, and he has conceded evidence on moves so that we are not free, since we are not free. Rather, we are dependent on society, since it shapes the way we move. It takes out all of his arguments. Also, he extended a lot of things for it. He says that affirmation is key because we have to talk about these issues. But even if we have to talk about these issues, that's not a reason that he is able to escape the question of topicality. Also, not a reason that autonomous and people are dependent. Okay.
I like 45 seconds left. Does anyone know?
Yeah.
Okay. Ready?
We were ready for 5 minutes.
Cool. The order is going to go overview, on the app. The second off, the contradictions argument, and then third off. Then aff, T, aff, contradictions, T, then her. Okay. You can just flow the overview on the top of the argument. Is everyone ready? She would regard too much of the 1 AR and the 2 AR is going to punch her fortune. She makes a bunch of new arguments that do not matter. I'm going to win this debate on 2 places. If not, the outlays on T is going to be both of them combined. First, the affirmative rule of the judge, if she concedes you're going to be way over T because she conceded that this is a normative idea, which means it outweighs the question of jurisdiction because jurisdiction does not matter to the point in which she's conceded that this is ignored. That means a risk of offensive jurisdiction means you are asking the question of the rule of the judge is conceded 1 AR way, and she should have answered it. Like the second person, but when the contradiction argument, she got to a good job answering. Then line by line, the app. She said that her only argument she doesn't make any arguments in the 2 AR that are actually important. She said that we are dependent on society. This is a new argument, and even if that were true, the idea of the contract is something that says that we can be dependent, but it's a question of how we organize ourselves in relation to dependence. Then on the role of the ballot, she only makes one argument that's actually important. She says critical education outweighs everything, but that does not actually matter because the idea of critical education, I control the internal link to lose 67 evidence. This is argument that I made the role of ballot that I actually made in the 1 AR. This is I control the internal link. The question of dialectics can only be made through the masochistic submission that allows both autonomy. She's conceded a couple impacts. The first impact she's conceded flows from the role of ballot is the first impact is the statism DA. Then again, the statism is the ideology that allows us to impose things on individuals. The only way that we actually solve this is through the affirmative because of the idea that it allows us to question the internal link to education, which is the only way we can actually have education, which is certainly the link to the teach now. It also means that the only way we actually win this is through a re-education of pain, which only the affirmative does. The second implication is the survival strategy she's dropped, which means that you should win this debate. It's a question of whether or not it's going to be hurting disabled bodies in this space of the debate. The second argument she does a really bad job on is the Odell, and she again concedes the internal warrant to this. This is the idea of performative tacit contracts to reveal the way in which normative conceptions of performance link to other individuals. That means that it's going to frame the way in which you view the round. You're going to view the round of question of performance, and the best internal link to that. It makes the evidence that she concedes also you extend to the role of the ballot is the best internal link to this because it allows the question of fair relationships, which means that the role of your judge, the role of the judge, is to be a contractual participant in masochistic contracts. That is how you view the round. jurisdiction does not matter at the point in which she has conceded that you have some kind of framing of jurisdiction, and she's conceded the weighing analysis that if I have a risk of offense on jurisdiction, she loses. Let's go to the contradictions argument on the second off. This is where she really screwed up. She said that she only says autonomy, medicalization, topicality, was anything else. One, your latest the idea of medicine. I contextualize this because you are the affirmation of the medical system that is always based on autonomy. This is one of our argument. The idea that you can affirm the idea that the adolescent should not have the right. Instead, they should be kind of imposed in the ability if they have anorexia to have these kind of understandings that they implicit on them. It means they desire to avoid treatments from an autonomous choice and reinforces by a political norm. For the idea is her link is connected to the medicality. You should call for a link evidence to see if it's true. And you should give me creams on this because she should not do a good job answering. She says complicated ways, but that is a new argument. You should not give her any this is like not articulated as to how it actually ways. This is the voting issue and contradictions that also kill the background and kills education. It's a bad norm for debate, which I'll get to the T, shall end on T. She said the argument to an argument, the previous question, norm of creation, since I control the best internal link of the contradictions argument. Also, the jurisdictions argument, she just only extends things, and she does not answer the claims that I make. It says that it's unjustified, so why is it true? We have a conception, the one you see was clear on that, which means that you're giving me jurisdiction. Also, it's not true because reasonability, I am direction to the topic, she's conceded reasonability claim on that debate. Then, on the third off. This also does not matter. The idea of medicalization is not a link. I do not defend medicine. Link evidence is really poorly context. The idea to McPhee evidence something that is non-normative. This is dropping the complaint R. McPhee is non-normative conceptions of adolescence that move away from the medicalization that exists. You're voting on the rule of
Good round.